I know you hate this, Brian. What should we start with? I can never remember.
Raw.
Vinny, we went over this last week. The shorter one goes first.
All right. That's right.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
That should be easy to remember.
It should, but I'm dumb. Monday Night Raw, number 187, December 2nd, 1996.
187?
It was number 187. Yeah.
Undercover cop.
Poe. Anyway, what a pre-Attitude Era terrible gimmick soup this show was. For example, Flash Funk versus The Goon.
Oh, yeah. What's wrong with that?
Actually, by the end, not much, honestly. But so Flash Funk comes out. Flash Funk is Too Cold Scorpio being what I described as a superhero pimp.
Bootsy Collins.
A little bit of Bootsy Collins.
Yeah.
He has awesome music.
He's a bass player, Brian.
He has awesome boots. He has a cool hat.
Two hot babes.
Two very hot babes.
Can't believe that's the last thing you mentioned.
Well, and they're hot, and they're completely not typical WWE hot in that they're lean, athletic women with natural breasts.
That was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
Skinny was in back then.
I see. So they came out, they're doing their dance, and then we get Vince McMahon. I'm just going to be there's no PC way to say this. Vince McMahon trying to act black, or what he thinks is acting black.
I wrote down he was painfully white.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was so painfully white, Jerry Lawler was embarrassed for him.
Right. Yes, I like it when he told Lawler to shake the booty.
Oh, yeah.
The Goon, meanwhile.
Oh, this poor guy.
Wild Bill Irwin doing a hockey player gimmick. So he had a sweater on, and he had, well, hockey pants, probably. There's actual hockey pants. And then his wrestling boots.
Oh, this poor son of a gun.
They gave this guy these boots. Mm-hmm. The lifts were, I don't know, 4 inches or something like that.
They're supposed to look like hockey skates.
Yeah, they were cut at an angle.
Yeah, that too.
How did this man not blow out his
I
ankle
don't
every
know.
single time that he got into
That's
the ring?
all I could watch this entire match was his feet.
The base of his, what he was standing on, at the ball of his foot, was probably no more than 4 inches wide. And at the back of his foot, it was more than like 2.5 wide.
Yeah.
How this guy didn't roll an ankle every time he ran the ropes, I have no idea.
He was essentially wrestling on stilts.
Yeah.
And they were 3 or 4 inches of lift. This was nuts.
Ridiculous.
So there was one, I don't even know if you call it a blown spot, but Flash Funk did a moonsault press from the ropes to the floor, and Goon did nothing to break his fall, and Funk landed on his belly on the floor.
Well, he did manage to clip the Goon with his knee,
I guess,
in the head.
Sorta. He popped back up. He was alive. Other than that, a totally fine professional wrestling match.
Yeah.
Especially considering the boots this Goon had to work in.
There was actually Funk, I mean, he did hit the moonsault off the post in storyline, but he actually missed. And then later he goes for another moonsault, and he misses that one as well. And so I'm watching the match, and I'm just thinking, man, could you possibly look like a bigger geek? Try to moonsault twice and miss. And I realized that he actually hit that first moonsault, but goes up and he hits his moonsault leg drop for the pin.
Mm-hmm.
What an awful move.
You didn't like that one?
No. You're going backwards, and you're landing on your ass, and your leg goes across the guy's body.
Yes.
This is impossible to believe.
All the weight lands off the guy.
All the weight lands on your ass.
Yes.
Right.
What a dumb move.
But it's an extra flip that other guys can't do.
Hey, you know what? It was an extra flip.
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, as noted, they were doing the tape shows with live cut-ins and promos. So the live cut-in this week was Shawn Michaels live via studio. And they said he had an apology to make. So Shawn sits down. And Shawn Michaels in the 90s, and he's been open about this. He's got a new book talking about it, in fact. He used a lot of mind-altering substances. Some of them were in effect here.
Did you read his new book?
I have not yet.
Oh.
But I think I read his other one. I read part of it at least. But yeah, he's not he's open about it. So he sits down. He's got his hair all conditioned and looking shiny. He's got his striped shirt on, and he's in a happy mood. He just happy to be alive, smiling at the camera and waving.
Yeah.
Good day to be Shawn Michaels.
Well, you know, Vinny, I saw this as he was so mean and angry last week. And now he was going to apologize, and so he was being overly jolly.
I see.
Yes, he was smiling. He was so happy. He was happy to be here this time.
They acknowledged the passing of Tiny Tim, who, if you are a young person, there's a strange novelty performer from like the 1970s?
Sure.
60s? Yeah. And he did a bit on Raw once, and they mentioned that.
Yeah, this was their tribute to his death. They showed footage of Lawler destroying his ukulele on Raw in 1993, and then Lawler proceeded to make a bunch of jokes about his death.
Yeah, in 1996 here.
Now, to be fair, Lawler makes jokes about his own death on a weekly basis.
That's true.
So this is one of those rare examples. You know, when someone dies and everybody always goes, well, you know, he probably wouldn't have minded if they would have used his death in storyline. And you don't know. We never know. The guy's dead.
Right.
Lawler died, came back, making jokes about his own death.
All the time.
So I think we can safely say that when Jerry Lawler passes away, he probably is not going to mind his death being used in storyline.
When I go, feel free to make as many jokes as possible because I want to make people laugh even going out.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Don't tell my wife, though, because God
Well,
knows.
don't worry.
Yeah. It'll be on this show.
That's right. She ain't going to be listening.
That's right.
Fake Diesel versus Phineas Godwin.
This is something.
This was two big oafs lumbering around the ring doing absolutely random stuff. Just taking turns doing moves for no purpose. Fake Razor strolled out. He gets in the apron. Phineas goes after him. And Jim Ross, and I understand his gimmick is to be in the corner of Fake Razor and Fake Diesel. But as soon as Phineas goes after Razor, Ross points out, look at this idiot. What a buffoon. He stops wrestling the match to go after the distraction. And here we are, almost 20 years later, and he's still right. So Diesel goes to powerbomb Phineas. And for those of you not paying attention, the Diesel here is now known as Kane.
Yes.
And the Phineas Godwin here is still Phineas Godwin. Somewhere, I'm sure. But he's huge and not very good.
Well, what happened was Kane is very strong.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Phineas either dead weighted him as he went for this power bomb, or he's so fat and jiggly that he's unable to do a sit up, and so he was unable to do the second part of the power bomb, the portion that he was supposed to do.
He was either unable or unwilling to get up, essentially, for this.
Yes.
And
so Kane saved his life.
Kane was holding him upside down for 3 or 4 seconds and then said, well, got to put him down somehow, and sort of stepped aside and threw him backwards. And actually, this could have been very, very bad.
Oh, yeah.
But I won't say he saved the move because it still looked awful, but he set him down very safely.
This could have been a Bob Holly, Brock Lesnar.
This could have been Tenryu and Okada. Only not Tenryu and not Okada, but the same move.
The other really impressive thing was when Kane, a.k.a. Diesel, picked him up for the sidewalk slam, and Phineas, again, did not jump for him. And that guy...
It was a shoot sidewalk slam.
Oh, my gosh.
He grabbed Phineas Godwin, all 300 pounds of him,
He hurt
with
him
one
up.
arm and carried him around a bit.
It was ridiculous.
He's a beast.
This Phineas Godwin was not very good.
No.
Henry O was not bad.
I was aware then that Phineas Godwin was no good, and looking back in time, I can confirm I was correct.
Yeah,
Henry could move better than I remember. That is true.
Yeah, Henry was not bad at all. I think the problem was Henry teamed with Phineas.
That probably hurt.
And so we always saw him with Phineas, who sucked.
Yeah.
I also like that Ross noted that this Diesel fella, he's young, he says, and his career is ahead of him.
Well, he's right.
If only he knew that here in 2015, Kane would still be working headline matches on pay-per-view.
Yes. It is astounding. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
look at like the WWE roster during that period and the WCW roster. Look at all of the guys who are A, dead, B, retired and in bad shape, C, just plain retired but doing okay, which is a very, very small number of them. This guy is not only not retired and apparently physically doing just fine,
Yes.
he's still wrestling.
Yeah. And still basically a top guy.
It's very impressive.
When you look at Mookie Ghana's cataloged, who has most matches in most matches in company history, and most of the guys at the top are relatively smaller men. It's Tito Santana. It's Bret Hart. Here's Kane, Well over 300 pounds. And granted, he's taking much fewer bumps per match than Brett and Tito.
Yeah, but you know when that guy takes a bump, that's
It's a big bump. Yes. So Kane is remarkable. That's for sure. You can tell Filthy Tom that.
Hey, he is remarkable.
Yeah.
I've said that. He shouldn't be the WWE champion, but the man is remarkable.
No. Sean,
We are remarking about him right now, in fact.
We've just remarked. Sean did his live promo, and the apology that he had to issue, that he said he was there to apologize for, he apologized for not being defensive enough. He was smiling and jolly, but he did still say that he did not like seeing Sid hit Jose with a camera.
You don't say.
Then he said, and I did my best to paraphrase him, the fans who had been booing him and cheering Sid would cheer for him because he was flamboyant and a man's man. Oh, he also explained people who thought he was a bad role model needed to check the skeletons in their own closet.
Oh, harsh words.
He mentioned Sid and Brett and all kinds of stuff. Jesse James versus Justin Hawk Bradshaw with Uncle Zeb in the corner.
All right. Am I the only one? And I know I'm not.
I know what you're going to say.
He looks exactly like Chris Hero.
Yes!
You know what's funny?
I got one better for you when you're done with that.
I texted Chris Hero, and I said, I'm watching 96 Raw, and this guy, Justin Hawk Bradshaw, looks exactly like you. I must have thought I was so clever. He goes, I get tweeted screen caps at least once a week.
I bet he hates it.
He looks exactly like him.
It's terrifying.
Does he not?
I called Cameron into the room as I was watching this. I said, hey, that guy is on Wrestling Today. Who is that? He said, Chris Hero.
Yep. It's
My son.
uncanny.
I didn't know your son knew who Chris Hero was.
Oh, yeah. We watch PWG and stuff
I
all
see.
the time.
It is uncanny.
It is
how much he looks
amazing.
like.
His facial features and the ponytail and the beard, same posture.
Chris Hero is a much better worker.
Yes.
Although,
Duh.
I will say that Bradshaw did still have a hell of a clothesline.
Probably still does.
If we're going to talk about the moves that Chris Hero Bradshaw did in this match, a Mahistral cradle.
Yeah.
While he had the heat, mind you.
Sure.
He hits the move, and then does this lucha cradle. Road Dogg, by the way, as long as we're talking about who looks like who, Road Dogg looks like Danny McBride.
I like the thing where he comes out singing country music and then gets in the ring and break dances.
There were issues.
Well, he was a
Yeah?
performer.
I see.
Forward-thinking man.
I guess.
Hey,
So, yes, Bradshaw.
Taylor
here-
Swift, pop music. Why can't this guy sing country music and breakdance?
He's a crossover star
I
yeah,
see.
he's a crossover star.
who managed to star
you.
in neither genre. But it was a plan.
He didn't even star in wrestling at this point.
He was not.
His big, real Double J push, and he gets beaten.
Yeah.
For the debuting Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Yes, Bradshaw here, not very good. This match went way longer than it needed to. And after I wrote that, Bradshaw used a nerve pinch. The laziest move in all of wrestling.
You know, I got to say, we watch all of this wrestling today, and there's interference and there's distractions in every single match, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I noticed this when we were watching these retro shows here today. There were two matches where a manager got involved. This match and the Jimmy Hart match. Mm-hmm. In both of them, we'll start with this one. Road Dogg makes a comeback, and he punches Zeb.
Yeah.
This is what leads to Zeb interfering in the match. It was the exact same thing with Jimmy Hart.
That's true.
They were outside, and granted, Zeb did get on the apron, and Jimmy Hart did try to grab Jeff Jarrett from behind. But after they were foiled, that's when they decided we've got to do something really dastardly. So Road Dogg here attacks Zeb. Zeb responds by tripping him, lariats to death by Bradshaw for the pin. This geek, Road Dogg, got what he deserved. He started this whole thing.
That is true. And the other note here, all three of these men still involved with the company in some way. Two of them on TV every week.
That's right.
Okay,
Karate fighters.
listen. We're all having fun and games here with our own Karate Fighters tournament and the Round Robin and Corporal Punishment and Kickstarter. Our tournament will be better than their tournament.
Oh, yeah.
This was supposed to be a semifinal between Sid and Mr. Perfect. But Sid won the WWF Championship and didn't show up.
He was too big a star
Yes.
for the Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament.
So was Mr. Perfect, and he was not WWF champion. In fact, he wasn't even on TV.
Well, what you're missing is they had crying baby sounds because he left.
Did he actually leave the company?
They were burying him on the way out.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, man. What a savage burial that was.
Yeah,
then.
they. I swear to God, I'm not even joking, everybody. They buried him, and then they played crying baby sounds.
Well, they messed up their tournament.
By the way, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Maybe it's because I watch Raw, and if they did something like this on Raw, it would be all geeks. But can you imagine that they booked this Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament, and they had Sid as one of the participants?
Yeah.
He was going to be involved in this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Lawler and Pettingill took their places. Lawler beat him, and this set up Lawler versus Sable in the finals. This is worse than most TNA tournaments.
Oh, yeah. This is now actually worse than that WWE World Heavyweight Title Tournament.
Oh, definitely. At least then everyone won.
Although at the end of that tournament, the guy who won was Sheamus.
Yeah. It's true. They showed Steve Austin trying to Pillmanize Bret Hart's leg last week, and yes, they used that word. I thought that was something wrestling fans made up.
They did.
No, Pillmanize.
Was this like footage from a house show or?
The Pillmanizing part?
Yeah,
that was
house
on
show
Retro
in,
Raw. Well, no, that part
London.
was on Raw last week.
Yeah. No, London.
The Pillmanizing was on Raw.
Yeah, but the whole
Everything
thing...
else was from the show in London.
Yes.
Okay.
So Austin was challenging Sid for the championship in London. He hits a belt shot that simultaneously takes out the ref. Because he hits Sid falls on the ref. Then Davey Boy attacks Austin. This leads to a DQ, so Sid loses. He gets pissed at Davey Boy, tries to powerbomb him. Brett then runs out, pulls Davey Boy to safety. Then Brett and Sid have a stare down. Austin returns. Got a lot went on here. Austin hits Brett from behind, so Sid chokeslams Brett.
Yeah, that's right.
We all clear on this?
Yes.
Yeah. So then we got something that they didn't do much back then, and they sure as hell will never do now, and it was, I won't say great, but it was certainly good. They had everyone involved cut 30-second promos, much like our contest here.
That's right.
Just make your point and move on to the next guy. So they're all backstage at this London show. Austin says, damn it, I had the world championship won. I had him right where I wanted, and everyone came in and interfered, and it's all their fault. And Davey Boy said, I was not out there to help Sid. I was not out there to help Brett. I was out there to get revenge on Austin for attacking me. Then Owen appeared and said, look, don't worry about Sid, Brett, or Austin. You and I are tag team champions. We need to focus on defending our titles. Brett said that after Davey Boy had helped him on Raw, he was repaying that favor, saving him from Austin, promised to take care of Austin down the road, but first comes December 15th, the day he beats Sid and regains the championship. And at last, Sid could not believe all these guys were sticking their nose in his business, but he was the WWF champion. That meant he was still the master and the ruler of the world.
I thought that Sid cut the best promo of everybody.
Yes.
He is by far the most compelling of anybody there. And as much as we make fun of Sid, as much as Sid sucked in the ring, I so would hire Sid for my pro wrestling company.
You've said this many times, and I
Yes.
get your point.
Yeah. What a great guy.
Until baseball season.
Until softball season.
Till he has to work.
Especially WWF was always the right company for him.
Yeah.
Because they always valued
Size.
the look and size. Size
And
also is part of it, too.
personality.
Size, look, personality, screen presence. They valued that over all else.
If you have a bunch of really good workers and you can figure out how to protect this guy
Yes.
in the ring,
Yes.
he's money.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm out of my mind, but I thought he was
Dude,
great.
go back even, I don't know, what would it be, 6-7 years before this. When he was in WCW teaming with Dan Spivey and the Skyscrapers, people, and they were heels, mind you, people were going nuts for him.
Because he looks like
Because
Frankenstein.
he looks like, yeah. Yeah, you know what? He looks like he'd kill Frankenstein.
He looks like he would eat Frankenstein.
Yes, he's a huge, scary-looking man.
Yeah.
And he absolutely has, I hate to say it, but he has it.
He definitely has it.
Yes.
You know,
He may be it.
we watch Raw, and it sucks on Monday.
Let's move on.
But let me tell you something. This show sucked. And then one day, it turned around. Literally one day. It was the day that they were building up to Steve Austin versus Bret Hart at the Survivor Series, and Steve Austin was backstage, and he cut that promo on Bret Hart in his pink trunks.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since that one show, this goddamn show has turned around.
It's been much better.
One guy.
This was not their best, but...
One guy caught a little bit of fire, and all of a sudden, everything is hitting on all cylinders. It's crazy how quickly. It's just like a switch flipped, and all of a sudden, this show is so much better than it was 2 months ago. That could happen with Raw. It won't, but it could. There's always hope, as they say in The Hobbit. Craig does not believe me.
What J.R.R. Tolkien think of Raw?
He wouldn't watch it.
You say, this is too unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know about freaking hobbits.
What is this fucking Stardust bullshit?
All right, now listen. Your general point about Raw turning around in the past 2 months or whatever it's been.
I know it's not all perfect.
No, but
this goddamn
yes.
main event.
This Jake Roberts and Mark Marrow versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Billy Gunn. This had to have been the most boring match I've seen in 2015.
But you know what? Let me defend it. Are you ready for this?
No.
I'm going to defend this, okay? So, yes, this match was not very good. However, Triple H and Mark Marrow are facing at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
And so, in this match, Triple H refused to get in the ring with Mark Marrow. He wanted nothing to do with the man. He avoided him the entire time. They have a long-ass, boring match, and finally, two men make the hot tag, and it just happens to be Mark Marrow and Triple H. Triple H is stuck in the ring with this man he didn't want to get in the ring with. Mark Marrow runs wild on the guy. There's a brief battle between Triple H and Billy Gunn. Billy walks out on Hunter. Mark Marrow pins Hunter to set up a match at the pay-per-view for the championship. If you tried to explain this to one of the 28 writers on Raw, I would bet 80% would have their minds blown. What? You mean if we hold off these two men until the hot tag, people might get into seeing them in the ring together? What are you talking about? They would be baffled. But this booking of this match was perfect.
This was like a blueprint for tag team wrestling. This match.
Yeah.
It was
a bad match, but yes.
Terrible tag team wrestling.
Yeah. But, I mean, the babyface shined at the beginning. They get the heat on Jake. Jake didn't do anything spectacular.
I'll say.
He worked the arm.
He did a good job working the arm.
He worked the arm, and then they got the heat on him. And then what move does he hit right before the hot tag? The DDT. Hit the hot tag. Big schmaz. Babyface wins.
Great.
It was a perfect blueprint. I was explaining to my son how tag team wrestling is supposed to be.
You're smartening him up?
Absolutely.
He's too young for that, Craig.
Absolutely not. I had to tell him. We had the Santa Claus discussion.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was sad.
How old's the boy?
9.
That's how old, yeah.
I was 15.
What?
15. But I wish I would have been.
He kept asking questions, and it was time.
What was he asking? Where's this fat guy?
No.
How does he fit down the chimney? How does he not burn his ass? What was he asking?
He was asking questions, and then he was telling me the kids at school were teasing him.
Oh, man.
So you showed him a chokehold.
I would have said, we need to beat their ass, kid. Santa'll be here, so don't do it too bad.
So, yeah. I just...
You're right. It's a catch-22, isn't it? They need a whooping, but then I won't get any presents.
I just told him, in the very olden days, there was a very wealthy man that gave toys to boys and girls all over the world, and the magic of Christmas still goes on today. And
all over the world?
Absolutely.
I don't know this story.
Well, not all over the world. I think it was in Germany.
Sure. All over the country.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I misspoke. It happens.
Well, thought he might take a boat or a sleigh.
Christmas takes a long time. Anyway.
It really does.
And I ended it with if there is a magic of Christmas, and then if people ask you if there is a Santa Claus, tell him there is a Santa Claus and he loves me very much.
That's very sweet, Craig.
Thank you.
But they will tease him for that one.
Probably.
Yeah. What about, so that means no elf on a shelf this year?
We didn't ever do that.
Oh, that's apparently the new one.
I'm aware of the elf on the shelf.
Elf on a shelf.
I'm very happy that I was...
My son behaves
not
without
around
a
when I was a
stupid
kid.
elf on the shelf.
Elf on a shelf. When this was explained to me, I was like, this would have scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid.
A doll that moves on its own.
Yeah, this fucking doll every night is moving around and putting stuff somewhere.
All I know is apparently now all people do with elves on the shelves and has them do gross and obscene things.
Oh, man.
That's all I ever see.
Terrible.
So this match,
Oh, sorry.
I was hoping
now that
we were
we've
done.
ruined the dreams and childhood of everyone under 10 listening.
I never said anything about nothing.
This match went 10 minutes. I lasted 5. I then had dishes to do. I did the dishes, looking back over my shoulder to ensure I was not missing anything, and repeatedly the answer was no, I was not missing anything. The highlights were Jesse James challenging Bradshaw and Uncle Zeb to a handicap match next week.
That was a highlight, something that was not part of the match.
And they mentioned Billy going on Livewire, and he was being such a dick, essentially, that he told everyone he and Bart weren't even brothers.
That's like telling Cameron there's no Santa Claus.
It is, actually.
I didn't tell him that.
So 10 minutes in, Jake hits the DDT. The heels bonk into each other. Billy walks out, and Mero pins him with the shooting star press.
Cool. Hey, let's play a song. That main event sucked, everybody.
It was really
But
bad.
you know what? If you're a young wrestler in training, you should at least watch it
Absolutely.
to figure out how to structure a tag team match.
Even I shall agree with that.
Just get better wrestlers.
Yes. Do more stuff.
Let's play this song.
That's me saying that, by the way. All right. Monday Night Raw, number 188,
Put the prizes back there, buddy. Gonna be here all night at this rate.
December 9th, 1996.
Craig's the one that always wants to go home early, and he's stalling out the show by looking at various prizes.
If you wouldn't call attention to it, guess what? Nobody would know.
Well, you're handing him to Vinny, and then Vinny's gonna look at it, and then he's gonna text his wife, and then, I know how this show goes. Vinny, your wife doesn't listen, does she?
Hell no.
Okay, seriously. Does she ever text you except during the show? Because you know what's funny? My
Every
wife
week.
always texts and calls during the show.
Now who's stalling?
No, this is important because he's right.
Am I not? It's like a magnet.
I expected you to chastise us for being late. If we were late. And it's about 20% God's fault for making it rain so hard there's traffic at night.
And mudslides.
And mudslides and stuff, yes. It's about 70% my fault for not being prepared. And 10% my wife's fault for, as I had my keys in hand ready to run out the door, my phone rang. And I know if I don't answer this, I will hear about it.
Notice Craig had no percentile in any of us being late.
No, that is true. Craig Proper is 100% innocent.
That's right.
Isn't that not weird, though?
It's amazing their ability to know what's the worst possible time to try to get hold of my husband. And
I look at my phone at 1 o'clock today, and it says missed call 12:02. Like, literally the moment Observer Live goes on the air. Now, granted, for some reason, she thought it started at 1. But this happens all the time. She'll call during the show.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee.
Well, on that note, Monday Night Raw, number 188, December 9th, 1996. We got a graphic warning us of content of a graphic nature or something. I didn't write down the whole thing. It was not on very long.
It was one of the first times they actually put a warning sign up during Raw.
In hindsight,
what?
I have no idea why.
The excessive violence in the main event, maybe? I don't know.
The Bart Gunn match, maybe. Don't watch this.
Yeah, don't watch that.
Psycho Sid versus
Really? I thought that was a really good match.
Watch it again.
if you can.
You watched
I just watched it an hour ago.
You watched it wrong.
Listen, we'll get to it very soon.
Vinny hasn't watched Raw. He'll change his mind on Thursday.
That's probably true. That is probably true. Psycho Sid versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley in a non-title world champion versus intercontinental champion match. Theoretically, the biggest match you could possibly do in this company. For free, with no build in the opener. Sid jumped him in the aisle, beat him up for 3 or 4 minutes, hit a chokeslam, hit a powerbomb. Hunter rolled outside and took the countout loss, and that was it.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter got 0 offense. Sid killed him from bell to bell, hit him with all his big moves, and they didn't let him get the pin because you've got to protect the IC title.
Oh, yeah. He was protected, all right.
Protect nothing. He's buried deep beneath the earth. Just let Sid pin him.
Did I not mention this is a McMahon family trait? When a man is being set up for a big championship match, he's got to either beat the tag team champs, or in this case, he beats the Intercontinental Champion within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
You know, we have that list of guys we would love to have a match with. Sid is in my top 5 of not wanting to have a match with.
What are you talking about?
He hit Hunter so hard.
He powerbombed him very
so
hard.
many times during this match. No way.
But he hit him hard in safe places.
When he kicked him in the chest,
Maybe not
to start
that
off the show.
It may have been the ring more than anything, but Sid press landed at one point.
Yeah.
And
It was the ring.
it's a press slam. It's gravity. It's not like Sid can do it any harder, but Hunter hit this thing so hard. That looked so bad.
Let me tell you about Sid. He is so much more awesome in every way than Sheamus.
Literally true.
He is a big, bad, intimidating, crazy badass. He is not a goofy-looking, smiling geek who always loses and backdoored his ass into the title.
Fact.
And Jim Ross on commentary very early on said, and I quote, "Sid is not a coward.
It's true.
This heel is not scared of nothing.
Or stupid. He said that too.
Big, he's scary, he beat the shit out of the Intercontinental Champion, and now he is a fitting champion going into this match at the, whatever the hell the name of it is.
In your house.
I believe it was It's Time.
It's time. Wow.
Goldust versus Bart Gunn.
Tell me why this match sucked.
Because Bart Gunn was in it.
Oh, come on.
Did not help.
Mike Barton?
So the setup for this was, as was set up for this, Bart had on Superstars, he was ready to win the Intercontinental Championship when Billy Gunn attacked for the DQ. So Bart's in there wrestling with Goldust. It's very boring. Billy cuts a terrible promo backstage on the monitor, vowing to whip Bart's tail back to Texas. This does not help things.
Still better than most Raw promos nowadays.
Oh, but yeah. You're right.
It was not good.
No. So Bart makes a comeback. Sometimes they overdo the crowd sweetening, and then sometimes I am begging for some fake cheers. There was no reaction to either of these men for anything they did.
See, that was the problem. If this would have been Bret Hart and Steve Austin, and they would have done this exact same match, you'd have been talking about what a great match it was. Because technically, in the ring, they had a very good match. And they had a nice, logical finish. Bart Gunn went for a high cross off the top. He missed. He banged his knee. He got up holding his knee. Goldust saw that the man was weakened. He immediately chop-blocked the knee. And this resulted in a pinfall.
Yes, he pinned him with a chop block.
What a great finish.
You saw this with totally different eyes than I did.
Vinny, the last match had a count out.
That was worse.
This had a finish that was built upon what happened in the match. Great.
So then Billy hit the ring and was cutting a promo on Bart, saying this is what happens when I'm not around. And Bart fired up and punched him, and Billy ran away.
What a feud.
The guns explode.
Gun versus gun.
Uncle Zeb cut a promo on the real Double J, Jesse James, arguing that his military service in Vietnam was worse than Jesse's in Iraq. I bet he's right. I bet Jesse would not argue that either. And they cannot believe Road Dogg was dumb enough to challenge them to a handicap match. Karate Fighters hype video.
Oh, man.
I am not making this up.
And it was great.
It was, well, I guess. They re-aired
Okay,
Sonny's
seriously.
punch.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Now that you've seen it in slow motion weeks later, was it not awesome?
The ref did a great sell job.
And she threw a great punch.
No.
Yeah.
Still wrong.
Have you ever seen anyone throw a punch?
Yes, I have. Have you
right.
seen most people throw a fake punch?
No, real punch.
Hers was way better.
Oh, jeez.
It looked even better with the music. It was set to music.
I just like to point out that while they did World Champion versus IC Champion as an opener for free with no build, they did a hype video for the Karate Fighter Tournament Finals.
Yeah. Vinny, this has been built up for a month.
Yes.
This is a big event. The finals are live.
I am more... yeah, exactly. The finals are going to be done live.
Live on Raw.
I hope they do it in the ring.
I hope they do too.
Jerry Lawler, is it Sable? Yes, Jerry Lawler versus Sable in the finals.
Oh, it's got to be in the ring. They got to be going, and then she's got to like pull open her bustier and tits everywhere, and he gets distracted, and then she knocks the thing off and wins. It's the Attitude Era.
I bet that doesn't happen in 1996.
You mean like when Missy Hyatt arm wrestled
Paul
Paul
Heyman.
Heyman?
Sure.
That was great
It was.
in
I'll bet they do that.
many different ways.
I have no idea what they do.
Love you, Missy.
All right, Justin Hawk Bradshaw and Uncle Zeb versus Jesse James. Your comment earlier about how it was the Goldust match was a fine technical match with no reaction. That's how I felt about this.
This was.
I thought it was a really good match that no one cared about. Goldust had a boring match no one cared about.
Zeb is very good.
Yes. Road Dogg's very good.
Let's talk about the most notable thing, then you could talk about the match. Zeb got beat up on this show.
Yeah.
And he was fired as a manager by Bradshaw.
Yes.
19 years later,
Almost to the day.
almost the exact same day, he is fired by Alberto Del Rio on
really?
Raw.
Spoiler alert for Vinny.
What a crazy irony.
That's amazing.
He's fired on Raw 19 years apart, almost to the goddamn day. This poor guy.
Maybe JBL will take him back.
Should. He would be such an improvement on commentary over these other idiots.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just cracking wise. So Jesse James comes out here to fight two men singing a love song. What a terrible gimmick this was. They had a very good match. All three of these guys know what the hell they're doing.
They realize how stupid the real Double J is for a name. All you're doing is acknowledging the other Double J.
That's also true.
Can't you just get over it and give him a fucking name?
So, Road Dogg's making his comeback. And JB, I can't say it. Bradshaw cuts him off. Then Bradshaw puts him in a full Nelson so that Zeb can hit him with a branding iron. So their plan was, let's get disqualified in a handicap match where we're not on the verge of losing. So Road Dogg ducks. Bradshaw gets hit. Road Dogg punches Zeb and pins Bradshaw to win. So it actually went even worse than their plan had been.
Can you imagine if at UFC this weekend, Aldo and McGregor, if Aldo's corner gets really, really mad and they jump the cage and they hit the ring to attack McGregor, but they accidentally take out Aldo and the ref just lets the match continue. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
It's very wacky.
They attacked, he hit the man with a branding iron right in front of the ref.
Yeah.
But the ref is like, it's your own guy, fucker.
I can't
Too bad.
Can't disqualify you. Can't disqualify him.
The only match,
Throw out the match.
the only fight I could see that happening in UFC is something involving the Diaz brothers because I saw it in Strikeforce.
It could happen.
And it would be awesome if it did. So yes, Bradshaw punched Zeb and hit him with a lariat, and he was fired.
Damn it.
Jim Ross brought Bret Hart into the ring for a promo. Bret came out in full Canadian tuxedo, complete with his own face airbrushed on the back of his jacket, which I thought was outrageous enough, and then I realized those were on sale.
Well, that's how you know you've made it.
Now, you know you made it if they sell any.
If one person
I
buys
could put my own damn
a denim
picture on
jacket
the
with
back
your
of a
face
jacket.
airbrushed on it,
Doesn't
You
mean anyone's
should,
going to
actually.
buy it. I did sell 3 Vinny V thongs.
yeah,
Same person.
3. No, 3 different human beings are in possession of a Vinny V thong.
terrifying thought.
I've got so
I don't
many,
think about it.
I've got so many jokes running through my head right now. Please move on.
So Ross asked Bret about his thoughts about the matchup at the pay-per-view against Sid. And Bret said, things are always getting crazier around here. Did the boilerplate, this won't be a
Little
wrestling
did he
match
know.
promo. He's about to learn, yeah. Boilerplate, this won't be a wrestling match promo, and I'm going to win. And that was it.
Yeah, he didn't have much to say.
This was pointless.
It is very interesting. I'll get to it later.
The commercials for the Royal Rumble were 2 very annoying marks patrolling the Alamo Dome and trying to be funny.
They've been there for a month.
They sucked. Mankind versus Undertaker in a no-holds-barred match. They prefaced this with a video of Mankind in the desert
Yes.
in Dubai begging to please go home.
Yes.
I believe him. I believe he wanted to go home badly.
Wants to be in the desert.
Can someone explain to me what the story was with the Executioner in this match?
I don't know.
He was there for a second, and then he was gone. And then he ran in after the match was over.
Yes.
But why didn't he just run in right at the bell? Because it was a
It's
no-holds-barred match.
It makes no sense.
Why did he politely wait until The Undertaker had killed Mankind and then ran in to attack the man?
I don't know. It's quite possible at this point that he just missed his cue.
No, because he was there. He came in at the beginning of the match.
That's what I'm saying. Or he jumped his cue, I guess we've already putting it. But he got confused about when he was supposed to be there.
The only problem with your theory is there are men back there.
Yeah, there's
at the
somebody
curtain.
gorilla.
This isn't a shoot.
I'm doing my best. I don't know why Executioner ran out, did nothing, let his friend get killed, and then attacked. It doesn't seem like a good plan to me.
These are fair questions.
Undertaker, at this point, was wearing a black leather costume. Did not look as good as Seth Rollins does in his black leather costume.
Or Sable.
No, or Sable, that's true. They brawled at ringside forever. Foley was taking a hellacious beating, as was the norm. Very creative ways of smashing his hand in between the stairs.
I thought the most telling thing was very similar to Raw this week, which you've not seen yet. They do a 16-man tag, and at one point, Alberto Del Rio has, I forget who in an armbar, maybe Roman Reigns. He has somebody in an armbar, doesn't matter.
It was Roman.
Point is, the other Uso, or an Uso, comes off the top with a big splash to break it up.
Wouldn't that break the arm?
Yeah.
Right.
And wouldn't it not only break the arm in storyline, but he goddamn could have broke his arm in real life.
Yeah.
Just like they did here, where
He spotted
Undertaker...
in this chair.
Undertaker is on his back by the announcer's table, and Foley puts his leg on a chair.
Not
And
a folded chair, mind you. A chair that's set up to sit on.
Yeah,
It's elevated.
It's elevated. His leg is on the chair, and Foley comes off the apron with a flying elbow right to his kneecap.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yes, it was. As it was, by the way, when Foley, Taker takes the stairs apart and he puts Foley's hand on the bottom of the stairs, and Foley just puts his hand out there and turns his head away so as not to look, and he puts his complete faith in Taker to drop the other stairs down, and doing so in a manner to not break all his fingers.
And
Insane faith these men had in each other.
And it didn't hit his hand, but it did smash his arm really good.
Mm-hmm. So after this, as you noted, the insane spot with the leg in the chair, and the announcer's talking about his leg has got to be broken. He's walking around, he's slamming Mankind all over the place, sort of shaking his leg out once in a while.
He's dead.
I guess that's true. He tries the tombstone. Mid-move, starts selling his leg, and Mankind slips out, hooks the mandible claw.
Oh, this was very unfortunate.
He's
got his hand in Mankind's mouth. And Mankind is just, or Undertaker's just on his knees.
Yes. Okay,
Right.
you had the same impression I did.
Who could not?
Taker was on his knees, Foley was standing up, and Foley's hand was approximately belt level, with two fingers wrapped in cloth in the Undertaker's mouth. And Taker was selling.
Had his mouth agape.
Mouth wide open, right in front of Foley's crotch.
Yeah.
It was impossible to miss.
Okay. I thought it was just me. But
No, it was very lewd.
It was a creepy visual, I wrote. And Taker finally fought back, hooked a bear hug, dropped Foley in the turnbuckles, and then the finish was quite awesome. He didn't just hit the tombstone, he hit the tombstone while selling his leg. He had Foley upside down in the air while shaking his leg out and then dropped down without killing him. That was great. So then Executioner chooses to run out and jump Taker with the Asiatic spike, and Taker was still...
The Asiatic spike.
There's no spikes anywhere else, I guess.
Do you know what the Asiatic spike is?
Not a clue.
Okay.
It's your thumb.
Terry Gordy's finishing move.
So if you apply a sleeper hold,
Yes.
what you're doing is your bicep is on this side, and your forearm is on this side, and you're cutting off these two arteries.
The blood flow, yes.
Causes you to fall asleep.
Right.
Well, the spike is just a man's thumb pushing on one of them.
So it's no more dangerous than a sleeper.
It's less.
Oh.
It's only one side.
I see.
What if you did double spikes?
You could, but he didn't. He did one spike.
Just saying, what if you did?
But what a weird move. You push on a man's carotid artery until he falls asleep. And he's helpless.
Heck of a party game, too.
What?
Take a while.
I don't want to go to parties at your house. I'll get put to sleep.
Never fallen asleep at a party, Vince? Or, I'm sorry, passed out at a
I was
party?
going to say that I've done. That's cool.
I've been carried from parties. Legitimately.
You have.
It's Sonny's.
Yes.
Thank God he was there.
So that was Raw.
I thought this was a good show.
It was fun.
I thought it was a bad show with a good main event.
It was way better than Nitro.
A bad show.
I did not enjoy that Goldust match.
Sid
I
was
did not
awesome.
enjoy Sid's match. I did not enjoy
Goldust
Brett's
was
promo.
good. Amazing Karate Fighters package, the triple threat match, and then the no holds barred match.
What triple threat match?
Man, Vinny,
Handicapped.
you're set yourself
Oh,
up
handicap
for
match.
fury when you watch Raw this week if you didn't like this show.
I'm sure it sucked.
Wait till you see the
It
last
sucked
hour.
on a different level, though.
Yeah. You should watch that last hour of Raw and then watch this Raw. You won't even believe
Well,
your eyes.
I bet you're right.
You will not believe your eyes at the last hour of Raw.
Or your ears.
You know what's amazing is the second hour of Raw did worse than the third hour, which if you've seen the show is literally impossible to believe.
That anyone would tune in?
You watch that third hour and you're like, how did this not do 1 million viewers? It's so bad.
Well, I can't wait to watch it now.
I'm just warning you. Not trying to dissuade you.
I get feedback all the time saying, boy, if Brian and Vinny and Dave didn't tear these shows apart, there'd be no reason to watch. That's a terrible reason to watch.
No, I don't think that's what they're saying. They're not watching. They're only listening to us.
Nah, that's not what I've gotten.
Oh, wow. Sucks to be you.
No, yes.
Well, it sucks to be them.
Last
I
time
got to watch it anyway, but at least I'm getting paid. I don't know why people are watching a 3-hour... It's not like it's 30 minutes. They're watching a 3-hour show they don't like just to make... So their enjoyment of our show is funnier or something?
I don't know why they even watch. Just
Don't
listen.
watch Raw, everyone. Stop watching Raw. It's a terrible show. Your life will improve.
Twitter lit up last night with people just telling me they're tapping out in the middle of the show. I'm done watching this.
I got a lot of those too.
Yeah.
And I wrote, this makes me sad. And Vince says, why? This makes me happy.
I'm winning the war. Every person I talk into stop watching Raw, I consider a victory.
Wow.
I'm making the world a better place.
It just makes me sad that people are giving up on...
Craig, you can't be sad.
Why?
If enough people give up, they will change something. If it remains at 3 million viewers during football season, I'm sure they're going, well, it's football season. John Cena's gone. He'll be back soon. Brock will be back soon. We build for the Rumble. They'll just keep doing the same shit.
I understand that.
I want them to drop to 500,000 viewers.
I understand that. It's the thing that I've watched like most of my life. Sans like 5 years, and people are just done.
Yeah.
Dude,
But you know
that's
what?
sad to me.
the stuff that I watched most of my life has died a long time ago.
Yeah.
The
What?
stuff
Like,
they're showing now is shit.
yeah. If you're sad, you know what you can do is go watch what you watched when you were young
Yeah,
on the
hold on,
network
It's-
and forget this shit.
It's not that I'm sad that people are giving up on it. I'm sad that the product is so bad that people are giving up on it.
Yes. But you can always go watch the old stuff.
Understand that, and I watched some Smoky Mountain just this week, and had a ball watching it.
I bet you did.
I watched this World Championship Wrestling.
Yeah. Watch some AWA.
Watch some New Japan World.
Or
Chikaratopia.
maybe we could hear some people cut promos about karate fighters.
PW Tater, and I guess you can play Vince McMahon and yell in my ear what you want me to say. And then these two men will battle. I know you can't see it, but we'll do our best, and we'll find out who will advance in this year round robin tournament.
Yeah, do you want 1996 Vince or 2015 Vince?
1996, he was much more bombastic.
That kind of thing?
Something like that, yes.
Okay.
Vinny, what are you doing over there?
Right now, I'm looking at the karate fighter Craig has placed in front of me.
It looks like Craig Pittman.
I'm assuming this is corporal punishment.
That's correct.
Okay. This device looks more complicated than you think it would be.
You turn the knob.
That's what she said. All right. What does the sliding bit do?
That's why Sable won.
Heyo.
We'll get to that.
I put it where it's supposed to be. Don't worry about it.
You just spin it and one dude falls off. That's it, Vinny.
Look,
right.
just to let you know, mine's at the same spot.
All right.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
Craig was cheating.
Okay,
No, I
now
don't cheat.
before we get to Raw, Nitro, the retro shows, Eric, you were, I guess, you volunteered to watch one other. It was the what was it?
It was the Armageddon Rules match.
That's right.
And now, I mean, do you want me to talk about this now? I can talk about it very briefly, or if there needs to be more setup of the karate fighters later, I can do it then.
First off, tell everybody, was this the Undertaker versus the other guy,
Undertaker
Executioner?
versus the Executioner
That's right.
Oh yeah.
from its time.
Well, why don't we have you start with that because that begins before Raw because the pay per view was the night before.
All right, I won't bore anyone with too many details. I will say that this match was pretty terrible, as you might imagine, but they used all the smoke and mirrors in the world to actually get Terry Gordy to be able to do a 10-minute garbage brawl, which was an impressive feat. They started off with a title card, no DQ, there's no DQ, no count out, and they had pinfall submission rules, and then you had a 10 count to you had to answer a 10 count to resume the match.
So a Texas death match.
A Texas death match, exactly. Yeah. Right off the bat, Terry Gordy trips on the steel stairs on his way to the ring.
Good start.
Off to a great start. And then he suffers from the Braun Strowman syndrome, where he takes off his mask and his mouth is agape and his eyes look confused and he looks about as intimidating as Baby Huey. And so they brawl to start. Nothing's happening. Gordy can't do anything, can't bump. They just kind of whip to the turnbuckle, kick to the belly, repeat. They kind of do the brawling where they drag each other around, like just kind of holding each other's heads. Mankind runs in and trips on. Undertaker had exposed the concrete to do a tombstone on it. Mankind does a run in and trips on the raised mat and falls flat on his face.
That sounds
so
awesome.
even Foley can't do anything right in this match. And by this point, this is about 3 minutes in, and Gordy's completely gassed. And then they do a bunch of bullshit brawling at the house set. Foley takes all the bumps in the match. That's why he's there. I actually don't know why they didn't just book it as a handicap match, because that's essentially what it was, and that would have been more exciting to promote. But anyway, they keep brawling. They brawl to the back, and there's no video screen, so I don't think anyone in attendance actually can tell what's going on. They cut to a random wide shot of someone, I presume someone dressed as the executioner, rolling down a ramp into a swimming pool. He flounders around like he's drowning and then stands up, and it goes to about his ankles. And then they wander back into the ring, and Undertaker tombstones him, pins him, and Gordy doesn't answer the 10 count. So I don't know why it was Texas Deathmatch rules, although it might have been a shoot, and Terry Gordy might just not have been able to actually stand up.
Wow. And that was the end of the Executioner.
Okay,
That was the end of the Executioner.
2 thoughts based on this. So they hired a guy who was a famous pro wrestler, but he couldn't work anymore. So his only value as a draw was in his name. They put him in a mask.
Yeah.
So no one could know his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thought number 2, I didn't see this, but it sounds like quite possibly they were watching this and thought, Jesus Christ, this is terrible. Foley, go try and save it.
Could have been.
That might have been possible.
You got to remember, too, that I'm sure they didn't know a lot about how Terry Gordy was in 19. He was still not that old.
Yeah.
They probably thought, oh, we can get Terry Gordy. Not realizing he'd already had drug problems. He'd already had a stroke on an airplane, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
He was already completely ruined.
Yes.
It was bad times.
Well, hadn't he just been in ECW like that year or the year before?
The same year, yeah.
Yeah. Was
Yeah,
no
I
good
didn't
there
see it.
either.
That's false.
Oh, really?
He was good there.
Wow. I don't know what happened then.
It was sad to watch.
All right, well, Vinny, let's get going on Raw here.
Monday Night Raw number 189, December 16th, 1996. Bret Hart came out for a not boring promo that was not going to go 20 minutes.
Nice.
I miss 1-hour TV shows. The story was that Jim Ross had set this interview up. He had not smartened up the other announcers. So Bret's coming off his title match loss to Sid, and it is not clear what the finish is, what the show was. They never showed it, but Shawn got involved somehow.
That's right. They didn't even have photographs.
No, it was
They're just like Shawn got involved and he's mad.
Bret.
Remember, they had technical difficulties. Maybe they couldn't get any footage.
Vince had explained there was some.
One guy had a VCR.
That's right.
So yes, Bret believed that Shawn had intentionally and purposely interfered in the match because he was jealous. He called Shawn a prissy.
You little prissy.
That's what he called him.
Couldn't handle the fact he wasn't as good as Bret. Said things had changed in this company. You couldn't tell anybody apart. You don't know who your friends are, who your enemies are, or what the rules are. Finally, he announced he was entering the Royal Rumble. The other 29 guys are in trouble, and now, just like Shawn had done last night, I'm going to sit at this announce desk and I'm going to enjoy myself.
You know what I was thinking during this match was, it's too bad that Roman Reigns can't talk, because if he could have come out and done angry, pissed off, bitter promos like this every time he got screwed, he'd be way more over. This is a good, bitter promo.
Is Bret Hart a better promo than Roman Reigns?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Now, to be fair, Roman's working with what he's been given, and he's been given garbage.
Yes.
that's true.
He's not been
If
given.
Bret Hart had to say the same stuff Roman's been scripted to say, it'd be pretty ugly.
Brett wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
He'd quit.
Vader versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in the dreaded Tough Man contest.
God, this was great.
It was not as annoying as the last time they did one of these, but they cannot have two heels wrestle without calling it a Tough Man contest. Austin wrestled from behind, was the de facto babyface. It was actually a pretty split crowd. Most of the match was brawling outside the ring. I don't ever want to get in a brawl with Vader.
No.
And that sounds like an obvious thing to say, but he throws these shots to the head where he doesn't hit you with his fist, but he hits you in the head with the inside of his forearm, and he fucking hits you.
Yes.
I used to do the same thing to Brian when we worked.
Sucked.
So,
Yeah.
I don't want to brawl with you either then.
Well, I'd pull him with you.
So Brett was...
Vinny, he wouldn't.
well, he might try.
He didn't try to hit me. He just did every time.
That's what I told him anyway.
Yeah. Brett never really had much to say until they put a camera on him, like, elbowed him hard and said, say something. He's like, I don't like either of these guys. Then he shut up again. So Austin got backed up out of the ring, and then
Pancake time. Don't forget that.
It's pancake time?
Brett said this at one point. Yes.
When Vader was about to do the Vader bomb, Brett says, it's pancake time.
Maybe I was wrong about tater tots.
Brett was a poor... Yeah.
He also said that he hoped that both of them would crash to the mat after the Vader bomb.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Austin gets thrown outside, and Brett chop blocks him and puts him in the sharpshooter, and this is a disqualification. This makes Austin the loser, which makes Austin the winner. That makes Vader the loser, and so Vader is angry. He starts to brawl with Brett. The refs pull Vader away, and so Brett immediately turns back and attacks Austin more. And he got some boos for this. And they pulled Brett away, and Austin refused assistance and fought to his feet.
You know what I was thinking during this match was, this is no surprise, but Steve Austin was something special. Because he was not Brock, but he was like Brock in the sense that every time Steve Austin was on TV, you knew shit was going down. It's exactly what happened in this match. They had a wild brawl all over the place. It was exciting. Brett comes out. They have a wild brawl. There's referees out there. This was great.
And I loved that if you have two heels wrestling in this time period, it is a different match than any other match you're seeing. Whereas, like, on Raw now, if you have, like, Alberto and Stardust wrestling, they're like, all right, well, Stardust, you're the babyface in peril this time, just randomly. Or Brie Bella or Paige.
Or any women's match.
Yeah. And
Del
so on
Rio
and so
versus
on.
Stardust would be the same as Del Rio versus Swagger.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a unique... Austin Mankind was the same way a few weeks ago. It was a crazy brawl.
Now, why did they start off with a really good match to start the show, and they got progressively worse as the show came on?
It's head to head.
Got to get those viewers.
They start 3 minutes early,
Right.
and so they throw on their best stuff, hoping that people will watch them instead of Raw.
But wouldn't they turn the channel if something was on they wouldn't want to see?
Well, you see, Craig, I think that Vince thought Razor and Diesel versus the Godwins was good.
And what was on after that, Brian?
Sid, which was good.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
And that was followed by a Heartbreak Kid.
They showed Ahmed Johnson cutting a promo in the ring at the pay-per-view.
This was not good.
Farouk interrupted from the stands. Couldn't understand much of what Ahmed said.
Oh, I heard exactly what he said. He said, Farouk will feel the pain of a mad Johnson through his face. And looking at his dong in that tracksuit, I believe him.
Did he actually say that?
That is 100% what he said.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he tried to say Ahmed and failed. But he's not the only one who would fail to say his own name.
Mad Johnson.
Yeah.
So Farouk came out in the stands and cut a promo with the Nation. Crush was in the group now.
Oh, great.
And he called Ahmed an Uncle Tom. That's nice. That's nice.
We got an Uncle Tom. We got a queer. We got a pansy. Is that what he said?
No, he said
Prissy.
queer.
Prissy.
1996.
This was actually a very Attitude Era show now that I think about it. So yes, fake Diesel and fake Razor versus the Godwins. God bless Kane, who had put in this role and said, be Kevin Nash. And so first he dressed like Kevin Nash. He straightened his hair like Kevin Nash. He dyed his hair. Started doing all of Kevin Nash's moves. If you paid attention here, he was now imitating Kevin Nash's facial expressions. He was trying to be Kevin Nash so hard. The problem is he's a much better wrestler.
I knew he was a better Kevin Nash. Unlike Rick Bogner.
Yeah.
Who, this was a career killer. Like, it legitimately killed his career.
That botched interference spot.
Everything.
Wait, yeah, everything.
Oh,
It's not as bad as that one singles match he had that went like 15
let's talk
minutes.
about Phineas.
All right.
Is it just me, or did Phineas Godwin take the worst power bombs in the history of wrestling?
That's 2 in a row, huh?
It was the same guy.
It is the same guy.
I remember the last time Diesel tried one that he barely got the guy up. I forgot who it was.
It was Phineas.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
He dead weights the guy and is too fat to do a sit-up. And so he gets dropped on his head every time.
Bad wrestler.
He doesn't even try.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Rick.
Wagner?
Let's.
Yeah.
Lockups.
His punches, his lockups, his hitting of the ropes.
His face.
As Brian would say,
Selling is the worst.
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
In fact, I think I've heard him on your show.
I don't know if you have.
Was that? Oh, it was Rick Titan. My bad.
He threw Phineas in the ropes one time, and he just like teetered and tottered and couldn't even hold his balance.
He's very horrible.
Yes.
And God, his face.
What's the matter with his face?
He looks nothing like Scott Hall.
Besides that,
He's like a caricature of Scott Hall.
say that again.
Leave it alone.
And Phineas even did he threw his spit at Razor's face to mock his toothpick thing, and before he even did it, Razor turned the other way and fucked up the spot.
Yeah, this guy
Couldn't
was
even do that right.
horrible.
He was a lousy pro wrestler.
And they won.
They won with the horrible powerbomb because Phineas wouldn't go up.
I would have been so embarrassed to be Vince McMahon and have this act on my television.
They came out, the crowd just started chanting for the NWO.
God.
This is the whole gimmick here is our stars left. This is the best we can give you.
Yeah. The NWO comes out, Hall and Nash as the champions on Nitro, and the place just goes absolutely crazy. Because they're like, we like this company, but these guys are big-time stars. They're like above and beyond stars. And so Vince has these two geeks pretend to be them on WWE television. Like, that's so embarrassing to me.
Sid did a promo for the locker room,
Awesome.
bragging about his win against Brett, hyping up his title defense against Shawn in San Antonio. He warned Jose Lothario to stay at home this time. And he finished, and it was a great Sid promo. It was super intense.
Yes.
Scary as hell. It's like a Hollywood movie monster come to life. And they cut from him to Shawn Michaels. I don't know what look they were going for here, but
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
the no condition to perform aesthetic.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler, the next segment, was like, what was going on with Sean's face in that segment?
He's a derelict. He's unshaven, his hair's all undone, probably unwashed. Just wearing chewing gum. They threw him in a generic striped shirt and a blazer is the best part. Put on this jacket, Sean.
Now, you know what the best part was? They had a monitor there, and he could not help but look at himself repeatedly on live television as he's doing this promo.
Yes.
You cannot create a character like this.
Also, I've been watching Shawn Michaels now for legit 2 decades. More, in fact. Watching this promo, and it's all a close-up of Shawn's face, it's the first time I ever noticed how thick his eyebrows are.
Yeah.
You first noticed that today?
Yes.
Where have you been?
Watching him wrestle and not
Well,
zoom
me
in his
too,
face.
but he did a lot of promos like this.
He's done a lot of promos. I think in later years, I don't imagine the current day Shawn Michaels is doing a lot of grooming. But he must have started waxing them at some point. They couldn't have been this bad all the time.
I hope as he gets older, he just stops doing anything and they just get really bushy. Like Zeb's mustache above his eyes. I want to mention Sid, by the way. Notice they didn't have some geek interviewing him. They just put the camera on the guy, and they had like a mini film him. So the camera's looking straight up to make him look 10 feet tall.
Yes.
And he's just big and intimidating and awesome.
Yes.
A great man.
So they went to commercial and came back, and Shawn did his promo. Called Brett a whiner. Made fun of him for wearing wrestling tights while doing commentary. Which is fair. It was saying Brett was not man enough to live his life. And the whole time he was chewing his gum frenetically. Yeah.
He said that he never makes excuses when he loses a championship.
That's because he never does.
He never actually loses them.
He makes his excuse before he loses the championship, and then doesn't have to.
Yeah. It's very different.
I did like that he not only built up the Sid match, but he also built up the Brett match.
Oh, yeah.
They were building up the Rumble match and the WrestleMania match in one promo.
Yeah, in mid-December.
It didn't work, by the way.
Well, no, things went awry. Plans change, as they say. But in mid-December, they were starting the build for the WrestleMania main event.
Well, and they were building Brett and Austin, too. I mean, that was a hell of a backup.
That's true,
plan.
too.
That's right. Can you imagine, by the way, if you were just a fan watching this show, that within 7 months, Brett and Shawn would be in a fucking fight rolling around on the floor of the locker room backstage? Can you imagine? They were both losing their minds.
Yes. Furnace and LaFawn versus TL Hopper and Dr. X.
I rest my case.
I thought it was Mr. X.
Dr. X.
Really?
Doesn't matter.
He had his
I want to see
doctorate?
some paperwork.
It's worth arguing about.
Yeah, actually it is.
Well, I like to think these two got together because Dr. X was in his underground laboratory. He needed a plumber for maintenance. And then, while he was on the job, they just got to chatting about, putting on some exhibition matches, winning some money on the side.
I picture more that TL Hopper was grossly obese and was at the doctor, and they came up with this idea.
Dr. X was Tom Pritchard under a mask. Why he couldn't just be Tom Pritchard, I don't know. Match is joined in progress because it was more important to show
Dr.
Sean's
Tom.
promo. Dr. Tom, there you go. It was more important to show Sean's promo than the start of this match, and frankly, it was.
I was going to say, it definitely was.
It definitely was.
Sid cutting an angry promo to Furnace and LaFawn's music was pretty amusing.
So this was every Furnace and LaFawn match in WWE
With TL Hopper.
with TL Hopper. Yeah.
The finish was a half Nelson German on this hard fucking ring.
Yes.
To this big fat guy.
Yes. Every match
Did we ever
they do,
see him again?
I don't know.
Probably. He was there for a bit.
I can't imagine coming back after this. I had to quit.
He got called up from Smoky Mountain, and who was he in Smoky Mountain? He was
Dirty White Boy.
Thank you.
But every match Furnace and LaFawn do, Furnace looks awesome. He's a great power lifter, a great athlete. He's got a great drop kick, great suplexes. He looks like a guy they could do something with. And Phil LaFawn, every match, he looks like a guy who happened to by mistake was put on the star team until the very end when he suplexes somebody onto their head.
This is the 96 version of Tyson Kidd and Davey Boy Smith Jr.
They were way
I will
better.
say the one thing about Furnace, though, was every time he threw a drop kick, he landed right on his side on his shoulder.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
That Snake Eyes reversal spot or whatever that was looked absolutely nasty.
I don't even remember that.
It was LaFawn was going for a monkey flip. It looked like TL Hopper was going to drop him on the turnbuckle and
Oh.
drop his face right on the mat.
He
Yeah.
missed the turnbuckle by 3 feet. Yes.
I mean, he walked halfway across the ring and dropped him.
What a fool.
Billy Gunn got a promo from the locker room. He was laughing and smiling about what he was going to do to Bart tonight.
He was a combination of Colonel Rob Parker and JBL.
Do you remember there's an interview with Get to Know the Stars or something, but they're talking to WWE wrestlers about their real lives. And Billy Gunn, many years after this, but he's talking about the death of his father. And the whole time he's telling this terrible story, he can't stop smiling. And we all looked at each other like, why is he smiling about this? This promo was the same thing. He can't stop smiling. He
Yeah.
smiles all the time.
Yeah.
I think Sean had the same smile on in his interview.
He may have, actually. Perhaps they got their smile at the same place.
Possibly.
Jerry Lawler versus Sable in the finals of the Karate Fighters tournament. First, Lawler was outraged that Mark Merrow was in Sable's corner. He announced he was going to go get Hunter Hearst Helmsley to be in his corner to make sure Merrow didn't interfere.
And to give him advice.
Can't have interference in the Karate Fighter finals.
Give him advice on karate fighters?
Yeah, Triple H was standing behind him, making squeezing motions.
Yes.
Telling him, this is how you win this.
Proper technique. And Lawler was nodding as if that's
Yes.
sage advice.
Well, not to mention, as you remember, one of Triple H's valets was in fact Sable at one time.
That's true.
So he might know her better than Mark.
He might know her grip.
Hey.
Well then. More stupid commercials with those idiots in the Alamo Dome.
Oh, gosh.
Terrible. So they go back to the Karate Fighters tournament, and must have been Jim Ross hosting this?
Yeah.
Whoever it was. He says, Sable, do you have any words for your opponent? And Sable says, you can only imagine Sable's delivery. Black Tiger Ninja is going to make a popper out of you, Mr. Lawler. And she said this, and Lawler laughs legitimately.
She should have entered the contest last week.
He knew
Should've.
how terrible this was. He laughs and he laughs and he laughs and he just says, no king has ever been beaten by a woman. So the battle begins. After a long struggle of 6 or 7 seconds, Sable won, and then this got great. This got legitimately great. You know how in 2015, guys say things like win, lose, or draw, it's about making a statement, or titles come and titles go? Sable wins this Karate Fighters tournament. Jerry Lawler is devastated.
Oh, yeah.
Beside himself. He grabs his action figure. He stares at it in confusion and frustration. He scowls at it. He slams it down to earth. Vince McMahon says he has been publicly humiliated. This was the biggest loss Jerry Lawler had until WrestleMania.
At least since that Kiss My Foot match, I think he was more devastated by this.
This was so great. This loss was important to Jerry. This reaction to this loss was so fantastic. So he starts saying Sable cheated, and he demands a rematch, and Mero gets in his face, and of course they start double-teaming Mero. So Goldust runs in to make the save.
Oh, Goldust runs down the aisle, slides into the ring, and chop blocks Sable.
I watched this like 3 times trying to figure out what happened.
He's
I
got...
remember.
Okay, so he's got 4 sides of the ring.
Yes.
Which means he's got 80 feet.
Yeah.
And he slides in and takes out Sable.
Just wipes her out.
Oh.
Right on her ass.
Well, to be fair, she was wearing 6-inch stiletto heel boots.
She could have been...
She could have been...
What are you wearing right now? She's off Brian's house.
Yeah.
She could have had big construction boots on.
She could have been on a tank.
She could have been in snowshoes. Goldust was wiping her out for sure. So he takes her out, which I thought was part of the attack, but then he makes the save. He goes after Hunter. Hunter runs away. Sable runs up the aisle, I believe, trying to prevent a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
She was clutching one arm across her chest.
She was crossing her heart. She was like the national anthem was on.
Yes. Yes. I don't know where Mero went. So Lawler's upset that Goldust has ruined his party when he was going to beat up Mero. He calls Goldust a freak. Doesn't know why why Goldust is so mad that Hunter had made a pass at Marlena. And this is a key point. They explained what happened that was not on the show, that why Goldust was so mad. Hunter made a pass at Marlena. Okay, great. Doesn't understand why Goldust would be so jealous after all, Hunter's a real man. Goldust asks, what do you mean by that? Lawler says, well, you're a...
And this went on
Well, aren't you?
and on and on.
Oh, what?
And they did this over and over and over again. And the big payoff was Lawler looking down at the mat. He quickly brings the microphone up to his mouth and says, queer. And very quickly pulls it away.
Which was beeped out on the video package, Royal Rumble 97. I remember that very clearly.
Huh.
They couldn't say queer anymore.
So Goldust says no.
Actually, before you get to Goldust, Vince is very uncomfortable with this whole thing.
That's right.
And Lawler is hemming and hawing, and Vince is like, well, maybe we should just kind of get out of here. And then Lawler looks down and goes, queer. And Vince immediately says, well, we come this far.
Yeah.
May as well just stay with it.
Say that.
I was like, okay.
By the way, everyone, do not make drops.
Please.
Please.
We won't play them. So Goldust says no. He punches Lawler. Lawler leaves, and Marlena comes out, and she and Goldust pose for a while.
This was something else.
I'll say.
God, desperation. Reeked of desperation.
And it's amazing that in order to turn Goldust face, we have to, over the course of weeks, systematically prove that he is in fact a heterosexual man.
That's right.
That's the only way we can get anyone to cheer him.
1996, everybody.
Yep. Boring family man Goldust.
What's funny is he looked exactly like Cody. It's not funny, but
Here he did, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
He looked totally like him. Then we had the greatest thing ever.
Where?
Ever.
Where?
The Psycho Sid Christmas Carol.
It stole Vinny's gimmick.
And there's more of these to come, by the way. There's at least one more. I remember these.
This is unbelievable.
Oh, powerbomb, a wrestling move so mighty.
And they had a legit choir.
Yes, they brought in a choir and had him sing these words.
Yeah, this was Vinny's gimmick from the last Granny show.
It really
was.
actually.
I'm just amazed that in 1996 they're losing all this fucking money and they hire a choir for
Sing
this.
Christmas carols about Sid killing people.
I can tell you that choirs come cheap.
Oh. We got the right man here, Eric.
Yeah.
Now, as a professional singer, how did you think this choir did?
They did fine. They did just fine. They did their job.
They were competent.
Yeah,
I see.
Exactly.
Billy Gunn versus Bart Gunn.
This was a classic. Even in 1996, plans change.
So Vince Russo was working for the company at this point, right?
I don't know when he really started.
He at least had been appearing because they did Livewire.
Yeah.
This felt like day one.
And you know what? The follow-up was a classic Vince Russo follow-up, and there was none.
Rockabilly was the follow-up, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, okay, so what happened, everybody, is they have a match, and allegedly Billy and Bart's family is there.
They have the wives and kids in the crowd.
That's right. Billy and Bart are supposed to be the Gun Brothers, and they have a match. Billy gets necked on the top rope, and he acts like he's paralyzed. Mm-hmm. The women are in the ring. They're crying. The referees are in there. Vince... I mean, I couldn't even believe this. Remember when Shawn Michaels got kicked by Owen Hart?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
And they sold it like he was dead?
Yes.
Okay, Billy Gunn breaks his fucking neck.
Sure.
And they go back to Vince is like, well, I think it's probably a stinger. Common injury. Probably going to be fine. Fucking guy's laying there paralyzed. And Vince is blowing it off. So, I guess in the following weeks, they did a couple of vignettes where Billy is like in a wheelchair. He's badly injured with this neck injury. And I guess the idea was eventually he was going to do the big swerve, jump out of the wheelchair and beat the shit out of Bart or something like that. But nothing happened, and nothing happened, and nothing happened. And finally, in like April, they went to Europe for a tour, and they needed a body. Billy Gunn.
There you go.
Next thing you know, he's just back.
Yeah.
Dropped completely.
Have two brothers that ever been in a tag team, either fictional or factual, ever had a good match after they've broken up? Think about the Hardys.
Kane and Taker count. They've had some good matches.
They've had some good matches, not many.
No. Hardys was always terrible.
Yeah.
Edge and Christian had
That's a good one.
decent matches.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably as good as we could find off the top of our head. That's all I got.
That was Raw.
Anyway, yeah, that was Raw. The other line, by the way, before the paralysis happened. And I should say, by the way, Billy Gunn's bump off this and selling a paralysis. To his credit. That was really good.
Yeah.
But they're having this fight. And Vince says, the Smoking Guns never got the credit they deserved. 3-time champions, but they were never, and this is a quote, never critically acclaimed, if you know what I mean. This was Vince cutting a promo on the Wrestling Observer readers for not voting his team best team of the year.
Shocking. Hey, let's play a song. Oh, go ahead,
Billy
Eric.
I was just going to say, Billy would go on to be part of the most over-appreciated team in history, I think. So
It's true.
He'd get his comeuppance.
He got his comeuppance. Yeah.
Should I talk about Raw now?
Yeah.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mark Mero. I believe this is the debut of Ode to Joy as Hunter's theme song.
What did he come out to before that?
Yeah, that generic chamber music. It was much more boring, honestly. So the gimmick here was Hunter is the IC champion, his belt is on the line, and it can change hands via countout or DQ. Goldust is watching from the crowd. He's getting the title shot at the Royal Rumble, whoever wins here. Mero's running wild. He distracts himself to chase Jerry Lawler to the back. Hunter cut him off. He almost used a chair, then realized he would use his title and put it away.
I did love when he grabbed the chair and he wields it, and Vince McMahon screams, "Hit him!" I mean, don't hit him! He couldn't decide what he wanted.
I just love the old school nature of we have to get this stip over.
Yes.
So the heel must be tempted to cheat and then catch himself.
That's right.
I can't afford to do this. Mero makes his comeback. The highlight of which is when he did a missile dropkick and landed right on his ass instead of his back.
Oh,
Bet that sucked.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
That is the worst bump that you can... That's the worst bump I can imagine that does not result in death or disfigurement.
Remember we were talking about taking a backdrop and over-rotating and landing on your ass? Yes. It's basically what Mero did here, just without the rotation.
And on this ring.
On this ring. From much higher. So he makes his comeback. Then Helmsley dodges the moonsault and he hits the pedigree and he wins.
Yeah.
No false finishes.
No.
No near falls. No back and forth.
Heel.
Shine, heat, comeback, finish.
By the heel.
By the heel.
Yeah.
Nothing else. So Mero gets beaten clean. He then goes after Helmsley, has to be pulled away by referees, and then throws a tantrum and storms to the back. So I'm assuming he turned heel right here. Or shortly
That's what I
thereafter.
kind of got out of it.
Yeah. And Hunter cut a promo saying at the Rumble, I'm going to show Goldust how to be a real man and show Marlena what it's like to be with a real man. And Goldust comes down to get him, and Hunter runs away. And talking about Goldust and how weird it is people are cheering for him, and Vince says, well, we don't know what he is, but we know what he's not. He made that clear last week. Telling fans it's okay to cheer for him. He's not gay.
You know, this Hunter winning with his pedigree. Clean. You know how many matches Seth Rollins won clean during his entire WWE run?
Like one.
It was like one over Dean Ambrose, and then I think the one over Sting. And
Did you ever beat Kane clean?
maybe Cena, I can't remember. But regardless, he almost never won clean.
Yeah.
This Hunter always won clean as a heel. That was his gimmick.
Well, to be fair, he was in the doghouse up until maybe a couple months before his run where he started winning.
I'm talking 98 through 2015. He beats everybody clean.
Yes, but we're talking about 96.
This fucker was the first man in history as a heel to win the WrestleMania main event.
Yes.
Ever. He's an amazing man in a lot of different ways.
They recapped Billy Gunn getting paralyzed last week.
Once again, Vince just totally downplays it. It's just partial temporary paralysis. Like, oh.
I was trying to decide, are they intentionally trying to make it seem not catastrophic so we won't get too worried about it? Because he mentioned, Vince mentions he's lost the use of his lower limbs. And Ross just says, that's what we hear. Like, really? That's what we hear? 7 days later, you can't get anything more verified than that?
It was 96. It's not like they had the internet.
They had
Although
telephones.
they did have the internet.
It did. They had a CompuServe.
They had CompuServe and...
Livewire.
Is that the internet?
I don't know. That's what their show was.
I think that
Was it an internet show?
It was a fan interaction show, so they had faxes and probably read emails and stuff.
Faxes.
Fax.
All I know is they started this last week when he first got killed, and Vince downplayed it and just was like, it's probably just a stinger.
It's a stinger.
All sorts of football players get it. Not a big deal. And I was like, he could be paralyzed totally. He is not moved.
No.
And you don't give a shit.
No. Let's see. They had clips of Bart calling it on Livewire, in fact, saying this injury had been an accident. It could have happened to either of them, and in fact, he wished it could have been him. Sonny came out in a Santa hat to do commentary. We had more Psycho Sid Christmas carols.
God.
You'd better watch out. You'd better start to cry. I would buy a whole album of these.
This was better than anything on the Slammies.
I believe you.
By a wide margin.
Everybody showed up.
True. Think about this. 2 weeks in a row, this has been better than anything on the Slammies. Have you watched the Slammies, Vinny?
I've not watched the Slammies yet. You gonna put them on now?
No.
Well, you have copious paperwork.
I
notes.
do. I want to read. Oh, maybe I don't have it right here. I did this morning, too. I just gotta... You go ahead. I'm gonna find this. I gotta read something to you. You won't believe. Or maybe you will. Have you seen the categories?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
Rocky Maivia versus Sal Sincere. Sal was being managed by Jim Cornette, and what I can only imagine was a rib on Jim Cornette. Sonny was on commentary, essentially trying to recruit Rocky.
Is that what you call it? She was blatantly hitting on the man. And
lure
lusting
him?
after him. Yes.
Seduce him? Yes. She made a bunch of double entendres, and Vince called her out on one of them, and she looks at him and says, pervert.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I often corrupt little boys.
That is what she said.
That was worth the eyebrow raise.
Yeah. So, this match was fucking horrible.
It was pretty bad.
It was just boring for a long time. It was merely boring. And then you get to the point where Rock's supposed to make his comeback, and he ducks a punch, and he comes up the other side, and he stands up, and they just stare at each other.
That was an awesome spot.
Time passes. They kept on going. Rock won with a shoulder breaker. Quite one of the very worst matches of his career.
All right, these are the categories. These are the nominees, Vinny, for the LOL Moment of the Year. As I mentioned earlier today on Observer Live, Dewey is putting together the top 50 moments on our website. Top 50 moments of the year.
I thought you meant Dewey Foley.
No, not that Dewey. But the top 50 moments.
Yes, the audio file.
And there
the
have
most
been
popular thing we do.
significantly more.
We don't do it.
Significantly more than 50. He
Right.
had to pare it down to 50.
Yes.
Okay. They pared it down to the 5 funniest moments in WWE in 2015.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
The 5 funniest moments. I'm going to read them, and then I want you to predict who won.
Okay, for the record, I can't think of any funny moments.
The ratings. The nominees. A New Day versus Edge and Christian in a trombone versus kazoo battle.
New Day did some funny stuff. I can't remember that one. That was funny.
Bushwhackers Hall of Fame speech.
Didn't watch it.
Miz's erectile dysfunction commercial.
Oh, God.
That was created by Damien Mizdow.
Yeah.
Hunter dances with the New Day.
Hunter dancing is always great.
And Truth thinks he's in a match he's not in. Those are the nominees for the 5 funniest moments of the whole year.
Yeah.
3 hours a week, 52 weeks. 1,500 hours. These were the 5 funniest moments. What won?
Boner pills.
No.
Oh.
Truth thinking he's in a match he's not in was the funniest moment in WWE in all of 2015.
It's not even the funniest of those 5.
Their idea of funny sucks.
Well, I mentioned this on the last Raw review. However many writers they have, if it's 20, they're the worst 20 writers on Earth. If it's 15, they're the worst 15 writers on Earth.
I would have voted for this Sid song. I could have done a write-in.
This was awesome.
This Sid song for 2 weeks in a row was funnier than anything on that list.
More of those 2 dipshits patrolling the empty Alamo Dome. Speaking of things that were not funny.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It sucked.
Vince brought Sid out to the ring for an interview.
This was better than anything on the Slammies.
I believe that, too. Even Sid's fist bumps were spastic. Just watching him fist bump people.
I gotta say one thing about this. Maybe it's just because it's Sid, but this was the one time they played his scary music throughout the entire promo. Mm-hmm. Remember that TNA used to do that all the time? It was always so god-awful.
Yes.
It was so great here.
It worked.
It did!
And then they left a spotlight on him the whole time.
Yeah,
as well.
his light show was going on, too.
They filmed him from below, so he looked even bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Shawn Michaels was watching backstage on a monitor, and he was, in fact, watching a monitor, not looking back over his shoulder at it or anything.
No, they filmed his back.
Yeah.
Dude, on Raw, when Team Bad is watching the monitor,
Yes.
Sasha Banks had her back to the monitor and craned her head around
Yes.
sideways. It was, as you say, preposterous.
It was. I can only imagine if Kevin Dunn would have seen this episode of Raw where Sean's back was completely turned to the camera and all you could see was the back of his head.
Well, he did have his hat on backwards, so you could tell he was wearing a Shawn Michaels hat.
This is proof it was Shawn Michaels.
So,
I'm glad it was because I would have thought it was Sable if he hadn't had that on his hat.
Yes. So Vince, in many times on commentary and many times in this his first question here, starts talking about everyone's attitude. I think we all agree
Yes.
the consensus official start of the Attitude Era is Brett's promo where he used profanity on Raw, but which is not far away. But yeah, we're on the doorstep, people.
Actually, I think the Attitude Era really started with Pillman and Steve Austin.
The gun?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they
Because Livewire was
were in
already
it.
Livewire was already late Saturday night, edgy. So it was
Shotgun, you mean?
and
Shotgun Saturday night. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
they
that's
just
good.
announced that.
Great show, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sid.
Sid was great here.
He said he had beaten the 2 best technical wrestlers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He knew full well he was not one of them.
Yeah. But it didn't matter.
He alerted us that when he walked, the ground shook,
Yes.
which was an awesome line.
He's used it many times.
He is the super predator of the World Wrestling Federation, the master and the ruler of the world. And then he concluded that he was big. He was big today. He was going to remain big tomorrow. And he was going to be big all the time.
Then he cackled.
He knew the game.
He did.
And he loved it.
He did. I like his line where he's talking about beating the 2 best technical wrestlers, and this proved that power beat technicality.
Technicality.
That's what he said.
Conor
So-
McGregor needs to steal that line.
So Sid is cackling about how he's 6'9" and 300 pounds, and they go to the back, and Sean is staring at the monitor stoically.
Probably thinking, how the fuck am I going to get a match out of this guy?
I'm not 6'9".
60,000 people in this building, and he sucks.
A match I still can't believe I actually witnessed.
Yeah.
the new Rockers versus Piroth and Cibernetico.
Yeah.
I swear on Raw.
Masked Piroth.
Yeah.
Remember a few years later when he was the Commandante or whatever?
Barely.
He was awesome.
But yeah, they came in. Vince said these men wrestle in Mexico in AAA.
That's right.
And they plugged the Champion of Champions tournament. Also did Mil Mascaras doing Spanish commentary. All I could think was, I hope Bradshaw's not at this taping.
God, we'll get to it.
So
Let's just get to it right now since we're talking about him. After the match,
yes.
Jim Ross goes to interview Mil Mascaras.
Yeah.
His promo was all about how awesome he was.
Of course.
And how he was going to win the Rumble.
Yeah.
I died.
I've been experienced traveling all over the world.
Like when they put the
I've been in
mic
many
up to
battle
him.
royals.
They put the mic up to him and I was like, I don't know how much English this guy speaks, but guaranteed if he speaks English, all he's going to do is talk about how awesome he is. And then he did.
Yes. The funny thing was, his English isn't great. His delivery wasn't great. It was a very flat promo. And it wraps up and Vince says, well, another award-winning interview by JR.
Yes.
That was funny.
The only English he needs to know is how awesome he is. What more does he need to
I
learn?
say, I am great in English.
He's not going to learn, I'm going to do better, or I'm going to sell more next time. He doesn't need to learn any of that.
I will get the company over.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so they had a total U.S. style tag match. If I was not aware of who Piroth and Cibernetico were, I might have thought it was just two American dudes in masks. And they got, I guess you'd call it a hot tag. Piroth came in, threw a bunch of chops, and then Cibernetico hit a dive, and Piroth hit a top rope splash for the win.
Cool.
Yep. And the new Rockers were bickering afterwards.
This is that time where they were trying to get, well, leading up to the Rumble, they had a bunch of luchadors in the Rumble.
Yes.
And even at the Shotgun Saturday night before the Rumble, they had another lucha tag match. But they were bringing these guys from Mexico in for the lightweight division.
Oh.
And I was trying so hard because I was such a WWF fan, to like their quote-unquote lightweight division. But it died a death.
It sucked.
It did. They ran down some of the names who had entered the Rumble. No shocking news here. Honky Tonk Man came out to do commentary. I don't know how many people were in this building, but they found the 4 people who were most excited to see him and zoomed in on them.
He was so honky.
He was absolutely honky. You've never seen a man so honky. Bret Hart versus Fake Razor Ramon. I don't know why. Is it just me, or does Fake Razor Ramon wrestle a lot more than Fake Diesel, even though he is much, much worse?
Maybe they're trying to get a ring time for him.
I guess.
Hey, let me tell you something. Bret Hart had the best match you could possibly have with the Fake Razor.
That is true.
You want to know why? Bret was a master of looking at a guy, figuring out what he could and could not do, and then building a match around his strengths and his weaknesses. Unlike a lot of guys who, come hell or high water, they're going to do their fucking match.
Yeah.
And you either keep up or you don't.
With that said, why would you book this in the main event of any show?
Well, Fake Razor wasn't around much longer.
No. The fans were chanting.
I think they were trying to get all they could out of him.
That says even more. Why would you make this the main event?
Craig, have you looked at the roster in 1996?
Let's remember last week's main event. Bart versus Billy.
Yeah.
And then I think the week before, was it like Goldust versus Farouk or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They can't do Austin Brett every week.
We have not had
Pickens-
illustrious main events up and down
The
this show.
pickings after those top 3 or 4 names are pretty slim.
There was no Owen. There was no Bulldog. There's plenty of guys.
That is correct.
All right.
But I like this match.
Undertaker and Mankind was a better main event.
yes, it was.
This match was fine. It was, as Brian said, by far, it was the first time I have watched the Fake Razor wrestle and now thought, that's the worst wrestler I ever saw. So, way to go, Brett. Fans were chanting for the NWO. Honky announced that he was looking for a protege. Was he looking for the next greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? No. I'm looking for a man, he said, who can play guitar, sing, and dance like I do.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he watching this match then?
I don't know.
That's all I could think.
You don't think Fake Razor would be a good rockabilly?
Based on his wrestling, I don't think he would be good anything.
I will say...
That was very mean of me. I apologize to Mr. Bogner.
Titan. You had him on your show, by the way.
I don't think I did.
No, I'm positive you did.
Really?
Honky did know that Steve Austin was on the verge of greatness, which was true. So Raw says something about getting a Christmas bonus, and Vince says he had taken leave of his senses. What a Scrooge. And they're brawling on the floor. They were brawling on the floor when they went to break. And they came back for commercial. And as soon as Vince says, we're back on Raw, Brett puts him in the sharpshooter and wins.
They do that all the time.
They do.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah, there was like 3 minutes left in the show, and they had to take a commercial break.
Yes. So, Brett won. They cut backstage to Sean on the monitor. This is going to sound more egotistical than I mean it, but I think Sean's gimmick here was Vinny, a man who had no interest in doing his job and didn't mind letting it known that he had no interest in doing his job.
Yeah, that was him on this show.
Yeah.
That's your employee, by the way.
He leaned back.
This is no secret.
No, it's just,
He shows up.
I'm here.
He entertains people.
I did my best.
I don't give a fuck.
It just-
He shows up and entertains people. I don't care.
Yes. So Sean's looking back over his shoulder at the camera, and Vince is, he's not even asking questions. He's just making statements about the differences between these people. And every time he pauses, Sean just says, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What an attitude on that guy.
Attitude. And
He was growing his heel beard.
he just went heel beard. And Vince finally stops, and he didn't even have a point. And Sean says, so what you're trying to tell me is that I'm a different person than Bret Hart and Psycho Sid. Well, you're right. It's true. And finally, Sean just cuts his promo. And he explains how he's going into this fight with Sid in San Antonio. He's not going to make excuses about his loss like Bret did. He's just going to show up and fight. And if he gets beat, he's going to take his beating like a man. That's not going to happen. He's going to win. He's going to win like a man. And the show ended. And all I could think was, this long-term build for the Sean Brett rematch was so great.
It was.
Because they gave it time.
Too much time.
Well, the plans changed, as we
They
know.
ended up having a lot of extra
But can
time.
you imagine? I didn't see the Slammy show yet. Did they do anything to tease for what their plan for the WrestleMania main event might be?
No, they did not.
No, they did not. You know, I knew that because it sucks now. But yeah, they had a plan, and they were, for 4 months. It's not even that long, really. For 4 months in the future, they had a plan. I guess they've been doing it for a month now. But and every week they just mention it, just to keep it fresh in your mind, and then push the agenda too hard. Anyway, that was wrong.
You're at a disadvantage.
How so?
I'll tell you how so. You have had one fight. I have had two. I faced Vinny, and I faced Wang.
You faced a drunken Wang at the Christmas party show.
I faced a drunken Wang.
Yeah. Probably not the first time either.
Wow. All right, Brett. Let's get into this Raw show. Vinny knows what I'm talking about. Brett was on fire tonight.
Inside baseball.
No. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Raw number 191 from December 30th, the last Monday Night Raw of 1996.
Sure was.
Weeks after the fact, they finally showed the confrontation between Brett and Shawn at the pay-per-view. They had just mentioned that Brett accused Shawn of costing the title, and Shawn denied it. And they said it was not clear what had happened. They finally showed this. So Brett's fighting Sid. Shawn gets on the apron, and Brett bonks into him. Then presumably Sid powerbombed Brett and pinned him. And so Brett attacked Shawn after the match.
It's a different world in 1996 because there were pay-per-views and there were replays. And so you couldn't show what happened at the pay-per-view on Monday because that would conceivably take away buys for the replay.
That's right.
So they had to let the replay play and play and play and play and play, and after it played enough times, then they would show you what you missed on television.
So they were hyping up the Shawn-Brett face-to-face confrontation on the show. And Shawn described himself nearly a year before DX was formed as the WWF's favorite degenerate.
Yes, he did. You know what was amazing when he said, "I'm the company's favorite degenerate"? We've been watching this show for a while, and it's amazing to watch the genesis of all of these things that were to come. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these things, you can watch them, and do you really think that at the end of 1996, they were planning a stable called Degeneration X? Of course not. But somebody, that being Bret Hart, must have made a comment about Shawn being a degenerate. And Sean couldn't let it go, and he had mentioned that he was a degenerate over and over again. And eventually it led to Degeneration X. And it really makes me want to go back to like a 2012 Raw and watch a show and just see all of the little things that happened that if they would have just gone with may have been really fucking cool. But because they didn't come up with it, that's it. It's over.
So the opener was Farouk and Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the Real Double J and eventually Savio Vega in a very random tag match. Austin jumped Double J in the aisle. I guess he doesn't like that song. They beat him up for a while until Savio joined in. Farouk spent a lot of time in the corner looking bored. Brett was backstage watching on a monitor. Austin goes for a cover at one point, and Vince McMahon criticizes his wrestling technique. A little high on the ride, he says.
Wow.
That made me laugh. It was a fine match with zero heat. And unlike, I've seen some quiet ROH shows and quiet Impact shows where there's just a few hundred people there. There was 1,000 people or more in this building. They just didn't care about Austin, Farouk, Road Dogg, and Savio. So Dog goes outside. Austin chop blocks him. Bret Hart comes jogging out to check on the Road Dogg.
Did you say Dog?
Road Dogg.
He was still Jesse James.
Technically, it was the Real Double J.
That's
I
true.
just want to get very specific. Regardless, it's hard. I try really hard to describe the guys with the names they were using at the time. But it's impossible to look at this man and not think Road Dogg. I will try to say Real Double J more often.
Let's talk about the gigantic red shirt that Bret Hart wore down to the ring.
All right.
It would have been large on you. This was huge.
Maybe that's why he was so slow. He had wind resistance.
It was just like he was wearing a tent. And it was an ugly shirt, too.
So it was determined that Real Double J cannot continue, and so Bret Hart would take his place. What a bullshit rule this is. If you get in trouble, you can claim an injury and have a fresh man come in and take your spot?
Forget that. Think about the other team.
Exactly.
We beat this fucker up so bad, and now a main eventer is replacing him.
Yes. This is not fair.
On the bright side, Bret took the shirt off.
Yeah. So Savio is getting beat up for a while. He makes his own comeback. You have a partner. Tag out. Farouk is standing over Savio. Savio begins to stand up into like the victory roll position or the chicken fight position, whatever you want to call it. And Farouk is powerless to stop him.
Farouk was praying.
All he could do is pray to the Lord for help.
He asked God to please do not let me be electric chaired.
Yes.
So he put his hands together in the prayer motion
Yes.
and was pleading for his life.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Because when you're sitting on a man's shoulders, there's no other option. The only way out is God.
You need a miracle.
You can't victory roll. You can't turn it into an arm bar like
Can't just
Alberto Del Rio.
Slip behind him.
Yeah, you can't just fall off.
Sure can't punch him in the head a few times.
Nope.
Jim. No. So these prayers went unanswered. Farouk crashed to earth.
Maybe they were answered. Maybe God was like, you got this coming.
Maybe he was rooting for
Farouk.
Savio.
Could be.
I hadn't thought of that. So Brett gets the hot tag, and he's going for the sharpshooter when Crush attacks with the DQ. All the heels join in until Ahmed Johnson runs out in striped, tight weightlifting pants.
Holy cow, these were snug.
God, I thought Brett's shirt was stupid looking. I made fun of it for being too big.
The 90s were weird.
And Ahmed comes out and says, thought his shirt was too big? I'll wear pants that are too small.
That may have been what he actually said in his promo. Sometimes,
You couldn't decipher?
sometimes, Brian, I think you exaggerate how
No.
poor his speaking ability was. If I got 20% of this, I was lucky. I have no idea what he said.
I know he said he's going down.
Can you imagine an argument between him and Farouk?
I've seen it.
You'd have no idea what it was
We've been
about.
watching it for the past month.
No, remember that one they had on Livewire or whatever it was?
Yes.
Well, it was Farouk on the phone, which was even better. And then Ahmed was just in studio. And Farouk on the phone was easier to comprehend than Ahmed in the studio.
We had more with the idiots at the Alamo Dome. Thank God the Rumble's almost here. Actually, it's not. It's like 3 weeks away.
No.
Oh, God. This is the worst.
It really is. And the funny thing is, they they did this all in one day.
And they thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I like to think that they flew him to the Alamo Dome every week. That's why the company was losing so much money in 96.
Flash Funk versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Let's talk about these Funkadactyls. First off, this show is only an hour long. 45 minutes if you take out the commercials.
3 matches on this show.
I am pretty sure these Funkadactyls and Flash Funk danced for 5 full minutes. For no reason. I didn't mind, but it was quite the contrast to Nitro, which had 10 matches in a 2-hour show and no downtime whatsoever.
I'm just disappointed because they had the audacity to interrupt Flash Funk's cool entrance theme with the Hunter Hearst Helmsley inset promo. We really had nothing to say.
Of course not.
He said he would beat Goldust at the Rumble and show Marlena what it was like to be with a real man. And Vince McMahon says, that's not a nice thing to say whatsoever.
Vince is so weird on this show.
Just this
I
show.
was going to say,
Well, every show.
for the past 70 years.
But it's funny because I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but Sean is so clearly being a heel, and Brett is so clearly being a babyface, and Vince is totally in Sean's corner.
That's kind of true. Yeah. So there was the Blue World Order sign in the crowd, which is the, ECW was on the rise. That was a sign of it, literally. An absolute nothing match. Hunter beat him up for 800 moves in a row. I think one guy shouting boring was the only heat they had. Lawler got bored, walked over, started cutting a promo on Goldust in the crowd.
God, this was just lame.
The ref left the ring to deal with Lawler. Hunter had a belt shot, and he got the win.
Why did they put... They've done this for the last 3 weeks. They put somebody in the crowd, but they're literally 15 rows up in the bleachers. Whereas nowadays, they sit them in the front row or they put them at the broadcast booth.
My only theory is that they were so proud to have filled up the lower bowl that they wanted an excuse to film all those people there. I have no other good explanation.
I can't think of anything better than that.
All I know is this whole show was like this. There was so much shit going on in this match, and it sucked. This was their plan to turn things around. Let's just do a million things in every segment. Nitro was better.
Still not as bad as that one show.
No.
It may have been the first one of these we watched where there was a million things going on all the time. All right, so Hunter wins the belt shot. Goldust stalks Lawler to the back.
He climbed down from the rafters where he was sitting.
Chases into the back. Funk drags Hunter back to the ring, lays him out, hits a 450 splash, and then he danced like he had won the match anyway. Did I get all that?
Well, there was so much rigmarole that if I'd been watching on television and saw him hit his move, I'd probably have thought he won the match as well.
Fair enough. Shotgun Saturday Night promo.
Are these on the network, by the way?
I don't think so.
They need to be.
I have heard you several times mention this show was great. I don't remember that.
Did you watch them?
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of them.
Do you remember these, Vinny?
What I remember is that for about 6 shows, they were filmed in nightclubs or
Yes.
tiny little bars in New York.
Yes.
And it was something different, at least. And then they gave that up, and it became just another C-level wrestling show forever.
One of these days when they're on the network, I'll go back and we'll have retro Shotgun Saturday Night.
I remember the first one is like notoriously bad. Has the headbangers as nuns.
Oh, God, that's right.
Marlena took over top.
Yeah.
Farouk, or was it Farouk? Ahmed did the Tiger Driver on top of a car.
I vaguely remember this, yes.
Yeah. And somewhere it wasn't that show, it was a later show, Undertaker Tombstone Hunter down an escalator.
Yes.
That I do remember.
That we will have to tune in for.
Or what about the one where they were in San Antonio and Terry Funk is brawling all over the crowd into a horse trough with Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I remember that as well.
Now, was it there
It
or
was not as good as when the horse kicked Terry Funk and
No.
he cut a promo on the horse.
was that on Thunder?
Yes.
I believe
Thunder or Nitro.
I believe the quote was, "You fucking horse,
You fucking horse, I'll kick your ass.
ass."
Yeah.
And it's funniest of all, Because Terry Funk really did grow up on a ranch. Has been around horses his entire life.
Yeah.
That makes it better. He knew what he was getting into.
That was not the first time he's cut that promo on a horse.
Probably not. Let's see. Sean did a short backstage promo calling Vince McMannequin.
Reminds me of Honky. He always calls him MacMan.
That's right.
What
So
was Honky? Was that the main event he was out there?
he came out here at some point.
Okay.
So it's time for Sean and Brett to do their face-to-face promo. And Brett's microphone wasn't working, so Sean hands him a microphone, making such a big show of doing it in a non-disrespectful manner that it was in fact disrespectful, which was obviously a not a planned bit, but made the whole thing better.
Sean was a dick.
Sean was a phenomenal dick.
It was not hard for him to be a degenerate.
He could irritate anyone. He vowed, Sean did, to do commentary next week for Brett's match against Vader and vowed not to interfere. And Ross started to ask Sean a question, and Sean says, No. That's the best there is. That's the best there ever was. I'm just a lonely degenerate. Let the Almighty go first. And that was his exact words, the Almighty. Brett had no problem going first.
No, he had a lot to say about this degenerate.
He mentioned Sean's disrespectful attitude, said Jose had apologized for costing Sean a match against Sid, but Sean had not followed in his mentor's footsteps and had not apologized for costing Brett a match against Sid. He said he'd been screwed out of the title at WrestleMania, and then Sean had failed to carry the championship with honor. Said Posey and Playgirl was the bottom of the barrel, making sure to mention girls don't even buy that magazine.
That's true, by the way.
Well, it is.
You say you're a man's man. Whose man are you? Wow.
I like that Sean's out there playing the part of the degenerate. He's wearing like jeans, a button-up shirt, and a gold blazer.
He's quite the dresser.
He always has been.
It would only get worse.
Oh. Brett said all the 14-year-old girls like Sean, but all the men hate him. He says, not a man's man. Finally, Sean removed the gold blazer, and Brett said, title or no title, you and I are going to wrestle, and I'm going to kick your ass.
You know, there are fans who just never liked Bret Hart, and they mocked him and they belittled him because he took this so seriously. Because he took these wins and losses in fake matches so seriously, and he took these fake belts so seriously, and they derided the man for this. These fuckers don't get it. This is why this stuff is fondly remembered the way it is. Because guys like Bret gave a shit. Bret made me believe that he was very, very bitter that he had lost a match, a fake match, mind you, due to Shawn Michaels, and Shawn had never apologized. I believed that he was really pissed about that. I believed every last single thing Bret said. And the reason for that was because Bret believed every last thing that he said, all the time. That's why he was so fucking great. If only more people cared that much. Like, every week I bring up Dolph Ziggler. I know I'm going to do it again. But this guy comes out, and he wears those trunks, and on the back it says, over it. I've been beaten down so much, I'm over it. I just come out here and I do my job. Fuck off! I don't care to see you. I want to see guys who care. I want to see guys that get pissed off, and so I believe they're pissed off when they do their pissed off promos. Over it.
So Sean gets his turn, and he didn't say much, only that he had seen Bret on the road, and Bret was no role model. At this
Harsh
point,
words.
Speaking of people who believe what they say. At this point, Sid came out to interrupt. He said, and this is a quote, "Ah!" That was his opening remark.
Powerful.
He pointed out that he had beaten them both. He was the champion, and he wanted real competition. So the lights go out.
I loved when he got in the ring and he needed a mic, and Sean threw the mic at him, and he was like, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. And then he screamed.
Yeah.
The lights go out.
I love Sid.
Taker's
He's so great.
Taker's dong hit, and then Taker walked down the aisle.
Like there was no music. It's just a dong, and then he just strode to the ring.
Yeah, he could have just walked out anyway. Vince is going crazy about look how badly everyone wants to be champion. That's a novel concept.
Powerful.
Yes. So Vader runs out to brawl with Taker. Taker disposes of him, goes back to staring down Sid. Then Vader returns. Taker chases him to the back. Brett starts to leave the ring when Shawn yanks the rope up into his nuts. And then Shawn dives out of the ring to brawl with Sid.
Very good, Vince. You got all of that.
Have you seen Star Wars?
Of course.
You haven't yet?
I have not yet, no.
Okay, let me tell you one good thing. This is not a spoiler at all, but Star Wars actually ties into what we just saw right here.
Sid is Chewbacca.
What is great about the movie is there's no downtime.
Yep.
Every moment of the movie moves on, and the story just keeps going. But it's never too much. Like, I've seen a lot of movies where when the movie is over, it's like, I gotta go fucking see that movie again. Because I don't know what happened.
You missed something.
Yeah. I didn't miss one goddamn thing in this movie.
Very well paced.
Now, granted, this is the first movie I've seen in years, and I couldn't wait to see it. And I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up, so maybe it's not quite fair. But, like, I got every last single bit of that. It was perfectly paced. Mm-hmm. Let's compare that to this bullshit.
And not just in this match, by the way. It went on in the second match.
The whole
it went
show.
on here, and it went on in the main event.
When I have to type notes, short notes, and I can't keep up with what's going on.
Right.
And I would have to go back and rewind to try and figure out who's doing what, why, and when. That's bullshit.
Not well paced.
Why couldn't they just... I mean, it's cool that they're building up WrestleMania before the Royal Rumble, but why? Can we get through the Royal Rumble first? They're spending so much time building up WrestleMania, which bites them in the ass, by the way. But they're spending so much time on it that's detracting from the Royal Rumble build.
Main event was Jerry Lawler versus Goldust. Here was Honky Tonk Man on commentary. And Triple H, by the way.
He's still looking for someone to sing and dance.
Honky repeats his goal, looking for the greatest of all time.
And so what a match to come out and watch.
Hunter offered his services. Oh, what might have been.
Oh, what should have been.
Hunter as Rockabilly. Oh. So, yeah, it's Goldust and Lawler. Hunter leaves the announce desk to kidnap Marlena. Mark Marrow comes out and blocks Hunter's exit. Goldust goes charging up the aisle. This spot was actually timed perfectly. Hunter looks behind him, sees Goldust running. He throws Marlena into Marrow's arms. He dodges out of the way. Goldust crashes into Marrow, and all three of them go down. And Hunter spends several minutes beating up everyone. Mm-hmm. He destroys Goldust. He destroys Marrow, leaving them all lying in his wake. Carnage and devastation at the hands of Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Some things never change.
The winner officially was Lawler, but the real winner was very clearly Triple H.
The one thing that did change is the production values, because when Marrow came out, unless the announcers clued me in, I had no idea who it was because he was standing in the shadow.
It was very dark in that aisle.
Who did he look like?
Oh, the Bigfoot from the movie, the Patterson film, was that it?
Yes.
There was a human figure, had 2 arms and 2 legs.
A man in shadow.
That's all I could tell you.
Wearing street clothes.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable. There's some decent stuff on the show, but it was a mess.
It was hectic.
Yes.
It's funny. My buddy Sean was over watching this with me, and I got a little annoyed as he was trying to distract me, and I thought, man, I'm missing stuff because Sean's distracting me. Going back over this, I realized, no, I missed stuff because there's 8,000 things going on.
I love when people come over to watch a show
and they don't want to watch it.
they just talk the whole time about not the show.
I don't understand. Anyway, I was Raw.
Crash television at its best.